We have a supersized show as we have the Air Force in studio and Grape Creek head coach Tanner Teal to talk about his Grape Creek Eagles. Also, an earthquake shook San Angelo this morning, and a GoFundMe has been set up for a local man involved in a serious crash. I'm James Bellini, and this is Live. We'll get to the news in a minute, but first, a quick message from Mammoth Roofing.
Hi, I'm Trisha Lira, third-generation roofer and owner at Mammoth Roofing Services. I love what I do, and what I do is build the world's best roofs. Need financing? I got you. 12 months, 0 interest. I'm Trisha Lira. I want to be your roofer for life.
Starting off the news, a 5.1 magnitude earthquake hit San Angelo this morning around 9:30 a.m. The quake was recorded around 8 miles outside of Hermleigh, which was the same place the earthquake on Monday was recorded. The one this morning was the 6th largest in Texas history, and while that is pretty crazy, Scurry County has had 61 earthquakes this week, so many that the county judge, Dan Hicks, has issued a disaster declaration. All these earthquakes hitting San Angelo are coming out of Scurry County, about 100 miles northeast of here. A San Angelo couple has been indicted for aggravated robbery after luring a man to a residence with the promise of smoking pot, only to attack him once he walked through the door. Tomas Salazar and Kaylee Smith have both been indicted. According to court documents, on November 26th of last year, Smith and the victim were talking on Facebook, and Smith had him go to a house on the 400 block of South Van Buren Street to smoke weed. Once the victim walked inside, he was attacked by Salazar and another man with a metal bar. They took some of his belongings and demanded $11,000 for his release from his mother. The victim did get away, and Smith and Salazar were arrested within that week of the incident, and both are due in court in early September. Have you downloaded the San Angelo Live mobile app yet? It's free and it's the best app in the business. Download it off the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store to stay up to date with news in San Angelo. And a local man involved in a serious crash has had a GoFundMe set up to help him with medical bills. Stephen Burton was involved in the July 24th early morning crash out on US 67 that shut down the entire highway. Burton has broke every bone in his left leg, has broke his right femur, a few ribs, and has other less serious injuries. The road to recovery for Burton is going to be rough, but his family has made a GoFundMe to help out. Go to sanangelolive.com to donate, as any help is needed. Into weather, we have a hot weekend ahead and an even hotter week next week. Right now it's 96 degrees outside and the low tonight is 70. Saturday looks the exact same with a 96 high and a 70 low. On Sunday, the heat starts to tick upwards with a high of 97 and a low of 73. And then on Monday, we are up over 100 with 101, on Tuesday with 102, Wednesday 102, and Thursday 103. Lows over the next week are in the mid-70s. When we come back, the COVER1 Crew visited with Grape Creek head coach Tanner Teal, and then Joe Hyde interviewed the Air Force about Air Force Career Day. But first, a word from the Bass Bunch.
It's our giant tag sale at Jim Bass Cars and Trucks.
Just cutting up tags for our giant tag sale.
Right now, during our giant tag hail sale, you can get a brand new 2024 Nissan Versa for just $15,999.
Don't miss our giant tag sale only at Jim Bass Cars and Trucks, Houston, Hart, and Arden Road, or 24/7 at bassbunch.com.
And welcome back, everybody. James Bellini here with COVER1. My partner in crime over there, Ryan Chadwick, has a special guest with him. Chadwick, go ahead and introduce him.
Joining us today is head coach of the Grape Creek Eagles, Tanner Teal. Coach, first off, thanks for coming in.
Absolutely, man. Like I said earlier, I enjoy coming and talking ball with you guys anytime, so it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, and especially when we're getting closer and closer to that start of two-a-days, the football season is right around the corner. So, let's just get right into it. Let's talk a little bit about last year's team and go right into summer workouts. So, last season, you said you wanted to see improvement from that squad. You had a really young team that was still going to have some adversity issues throughout the year, but you wanted to see improvement. You got that all-important district win against Brady. How did that win affect the guys headed into the offseason and now into summer workouts?
It was huge, and you bring that up, and we knew we knew going into last season that we were going to take our lumps early because we were so young. We had 8 to 9, sophomore kids up on varsity, only a handful of seniors, 5 or 6 seniors. And those sophomores that were up, we're under the belief that, we don't move a kid up just because he's one of the better kids in his class. If we're going to move somebody up, they're going to get major minutes. And so we had a lot of young kids get those crucial minutes last year. And so, like I said, we knew starting the season that we were going to start slow because we were so young. And, we really hit stride those last 2 games. And going into that Brady game, we knew we had a chance to win one, even though we were, a 20-something point underdog. But really had to give hats off to our senior class last year. Like I said, they were small. There were only a handful of them. But they were the group that kind of kept us together throughout the year because they knew if they just stayed the course – the last half of the season, we had a chance to win some ball games. And so we feel like, we beat Brady at Brady, and then we finished off beating Ballinger at home and ended up being tied 3rd in district, lost out on the tiebreaker to Brady and TLCA. But those last 2 games did a lot for us heading into the spring and then this summer, and hopefully this next year we can use those 2 games and hopefully not start as slow as we did last year, that we can hopefully just start right back up where we left off.
Yeah. Now, James, do you have anything that you specifically want to ask Coach Teal about first?
Yeah, you brought up last year, you talked about your senior group, but you had that young sophomore group that came up that y'all are really high on. Kind of talk about those kids real quick who are going to be those upperclassmen now, getting into that, teaching the younger class about, hey, this is how we do things.
Right. No, we're really high on this incoming junior class. There's a bunch of them that play football, and they've been one of those impressive classes since we had them in middle school. There was always a big group of them, and they were very talented. And we always told them, hey, if we can keep you guys together once you get into high school and get to be juniors and seniors, we feel like we got a chance to be pretty special. And so, the number one guy that comes to mind is Sire Garcia. He came in and really did some good things as a sophomore. He was the district defensive newcomer of the year. We moved him into the backfield. He started off, like I said, these young kids, we kind of played them at some different positions earlier in non-district, trying to kind of get a feel of where they would fit. And we started him at tight end and ended up moving him to running back by the time district started. And he led us in rushing touchdowns. And, he's a special kid. He's big, he's fast, he's strong. And so he's one that we're going to lean on pretty hard on both sides of the ball this year. He's going to get a lot of carries. He's going to, he's on special teams. He's one of those kids that he's going to have to be in good shape. And luckily, he's been coming quite a bit this summer, and so he's in good shape. But he's one that he's not going to come off the field. Our 2 safeties last year were both sophomores, Gabe Santion and Brayley Woods, and those 2 we're gonna lean on them a little bit more offensively too. Brayley's a big kid; he's about 6'3", played tight end for us last year. We're gonna throw him the ball, and he's a big baseball player too. So he's one that at times last year we'd line him in the backfield at quarterback, and he can throw the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
So. And Gabe is one that he's really been impressive this summer and in the spring. He played a little tight end for us, but he started at safety, and he's grown a little bit. He's gotten taller. He's lived in the weight room this summer, and he ran track like we asked him to last spring, and he's gotten bigger and faster and stronger, and he's an impressive looking kid. And he's one that we're going to play in multiple different positions on offense because he's one that we can line him up at tight end. We can split him out at a receiver. He's also one I'd like to see in the backfield run with the ball.
Hand him the
ball.
ball.
Absolutely. And so we're high on those kids, and we've got some other skill kids in that group. Chris Duron is a kid that he's another one. He's going to play linebacker for us, but he can play quarterback. He can play running back. Zane Durham is same type. He backed up our fullback position last year and played some outside linebacker. Just a really good group of kids. Josue Ariano is he's a big kid, and he started on the offensive and defensive line for us last year, but he's one that he's really big, but it's crazy how athletic he is. For his size, he can move, and he plays basketball, and he's got really great footwork and hands. And so we're toying with the idea of maybe putting him in the backfield with Sire and running some heavy package and putting him at sniffer back and snapping him the ball a couple times.
You're not stopping that near the goal line, I'll tell you what.
We're excited about some of the things that we can do, just the versatility of kids that we have now.
So basically, you're not gonna perpetually be that young underdog. Like, you actually have some tools in the bag and some experience coming through.
Absolutely. No, we feel like, now that these guys got all that experience last year and that they're juniors, and we've got a good group of seniors this year too. That's a good group. Putting those two together, we feel like we can do something pretty special this year.
So the district is going to look a little bit different this year. Of course, there was district realignment. We lost some guys like TLCA's not in y'all's district anymore. Ballinger moved down. Right. But you still have Wall. Merkel and Coahoma join. Like, I know that they're your opponent during the spring sports. Right. But what do you think that, like, what are you projecting? Like, what are the Great Creek Eagles prospects this year? What's it going to take to grab one of those playoff spots?
We talk about it all the time, and even last year we talked about it as a team. Even though we were young and we knew we were going to take our lumps, the expectation is still we're a playoff team, and that's what we tell them from day one, and we still believe that. Going into this year, we feel like it's going to be a very competitive district. I feel like there's not a whole lot of drop off from one team to the next. We've got a lot of new coaches in our district. Wall is going to look different this year, but Wall is still going to be Wall. They're going to be, Coach Slaughter. Those guys play unbelievable defense. They'll probably look a little different on offense, but they still have really good kids. They got really good coaches. They're going to be, they're going to be Wall. They're going to be well prepared, and they're going to be really good. Merkel has a new coach. Stanton has a new coach. Coach Jocelyn's been at Coahoma for a while, and he does a really good job. I know Coahoma's got a lot of speed. Merkel is always big. They got some big kids. Stanton's got some big kids. And so, like you said, we're familiar, but it's exciting kind of getting to play some new faces and stuff like that. But we feel pretty confident in the fact that going into any game, any given Friday, we feel like we have a chance to win that ball game.
All right, Coach, you talked about, Sire, you talked about your team. Talk about one kid who's shown up every day this summer who is maybe an underdog, but maybe didn't get a lot of playing time last year. Talk about that one kid who can be special for y'all.
Man, it's funny. It's funny, and it's great that you pull this up, because absolutely one kid comes to mind, and he's a young man. He's going to be a senior, and he came to me a couple years ago and had never played sports before, had never been in athletics, never played football, and he wanted the opportunity to be in there and to learn and to lift weights and all this stuff. And he came to me and he was like, "Can I please play?" And so we brought him out. His name is Lucan Clemens. And we are so high on this kid. He hadn't missed a single day of summer workouts. He, a true underdog story, because, like I said, this kid, his football IQ isn't where we would want it to be, but it has grown so much over the last couple of years. He made varsity last year as a junior. Like I said, after coming out as a sophomore, never being in athletics before, never playing football. Earned a starting position on our offensive line last year, was one of our best offensive linemen by the end of the year. And he's the type that, we tell him, "Hey, you're gonna have to get bigger, you're gonna have to get stronger." And so he goes out and he joins the powerlifting team, and he becomes one of our strongest kids. He runs track, and he's not overly athletic. He's got to work hard every day just to do the little stuff. He's gotten so much faster. Like I said, this summer he's not missed a single day of workouts, and he has just transformed his body to where we expect him to step in right away and be a captain and be, I mean, just a force on the offensive and defensive line. He's one of those kids that, would give you the shirt off his back if you asked for it. He's one of our absolute favorite kids that we've ever got to coach. And so it's fun to see where he started to where he is now. And I mean, he's one that he can do just about anything now. I mean, you ask him to do something and he'll do it, but he's one that he's going to be a special player for us this year. Not necessarily because he's a better athlete or, he just has those intangibles, He's never going to miss. He's a great student, never gets in trouble. So he's kind of one of those underdogs that, you could write a movie about.
Right.
And he's already talked about next year he's going to go into the military and he's going to make a career of it and he's going to be successful at whatever he does. He just kind of has that mindset. So as a coaching staff, he's one that we've already talked about. I mean, he's off the charts impressive with all the things that he's done in such a short amount of time. So, no, he's one that y'all can definitely put down on your little notepad to watch because he's gonna be fun this year.
Yeah, we definitely will too.
Heck yeah. I love it. I love hearing it.
Yeah. And Coach, let's get into the X's and O's a little bit, just for the people watching out there who don't know what kind of offense y'all run. It's a little bit more of a traditional offense. Are we going to see any changes this year, or are you just basically going to be kind of like last year, line up and stop us?
We're gonna, with having the kids that we have coming back, we're gonna be us. We're gonna run the ball, and we're gonna get the ball to a lot of different kids. But with some of the kids we have that we can line up in different positions, we're going to be able to get in some different formations. We're going to be able to split some guys out and get into trips and more of a, traditional spread look, but we can still kind of run our stuff out of it. And so those that don't know, basically today's spread offense was developed through the single wing. And so it's very multiple. You can get in and get in your double tight, and you can get in your tackle over, and you can get, in all these smash mouth formations, but at the same time, you can still spread guys out and keep your philosophy and stuff like that the same. We can still run power out of just about any of those formations. We can give it to our fullback, and we've got some kids that Daniel Anchondo is going to be a senior this year, and he's one. He played a little quarterback for us last year until he broke his hand, and he's our point guard of our basketball team. And so he's already kind of got that mentality to where he can run the huddle, and he's a little on the smaller size, but he's got a great arm. And so he's one that
and he's a great athlete.
We can throw the ball around a little bit with him, and we've got some receivers. Angel Perez is going to be a senior. He's also a basketball player. He's got good footwork, great hands, and he's one that last year – we'd split out and get single coverage on, and we could play some games with him and throw him the ball, and he doesn't drop very many of them. And Lane Kleesner is another one we're high on. He's a senior, and he was our center fielder in baseball this year. And, man, you want to talk about cover some ground. And so he's one that we can give the ball to on reverse, and we can throw it out there to him, and he can do some things. So we've got skill kids to do basically kind of what we want on offense. If we feel like somebody is weak against the run, we can load up the box and we can run straight at you, and we feel like if they've got a lot of big slow guys in the middle, we can spread you out a little bit and throw the ball around. So we're excited to kind of experiment with some stuff and some kids and move them around a little bit more than what we have in the past.
So basically you have the athletes to kind of do on a matchup by matchup basis.
Right.
And that's different from the last couple of years.
Right.
Be excited to watch them Great Creek Eagles this year, guys.
No, I love the fact that you've brought up track and powerlifting and baseball and basketball, and all these kids are playing multiple sports. That's so important too. I know football is in West Texas, football is king, and it's high school West Texas football, and that's a huge deal around here. But you have talked about these other sports that these players are participating in, and that's really important to football, and it kind of shows how important it is at this point.
It is, especially, at a school our size, we got to share, we got to share kids with ag, we got to share kids with band, and we do. We want our kids to be able to do everything and not just say, well, hey, you can't march in the band because you play football, or and we've got great teachers and coaches that understand that too and are like-minded, and we share kids really well. And we also understand, I was lucky enough to hire Nate Blackwell as our head track coach, and he was an All-American here at Angelo State. And so he brings, a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the track and getting kids faster, and we've seen a huge difference. And so we push, especially our football guys, you can't coach speed. And so we're like, hey, get out there and run track, and I promise you Coach Blackwell will make you faster. And we've got guys, Colin Barnes is great strength and conditioning coach, and so we've got coaches that, we want our kids to do powerlifting and get stronger, get faster. Basketball helps with your footwork and your hand-eye coordination, and the same with baseball. So, the more you find out, your better athletes are your kids that play everything. And so, we want our kids to get out there and play football and track and basketball and baseball and powerlifting and show in ag and march in the band and all that stuff. It just makes them so much more well-rounded.
Yeah, all right, Coach. Well, at this point in the interview, we always give our coaches an opportunity to basically say something direct to the camera, out to the fans, get them excited about this season.
All I can say is I'm really excited about this next year. I think Grape Creek's going to surprise some people. Dave Campbell's has us picked last, of course, in our district, which we're used to that. But, we're going to use that as kind of a – wearing that chip on our shoulder to where we're going to start from game one, and we have a pretty good understanding of who we are and what we do and what we're about, and our kids buy into that. And so we're definitely excited about this year and what we can do. We feel like we have one of those teams that's comparable to the team a couple years ago that we won a district championship with. We've got that kind of kids and that kind of mentality coming back, and so now we're super excited and high on this group, and we're just ready for August 5th to roll around.
Aren't we all, Coach? All right, again, this is.
Whoa! I have one last one,
goodness.
Chadwick.
Every
this
week,
all the time.
This is literally the third week in a row now.
It's
James.
gonna keep happening. So every time you don't check with me.
Oh,
all
my
right, Coach.
goodness.
I heard you changed the logo up a little bit.
Yes.
I heard you got the eagle now. It's on your shirt.
Absolutely. No, this is going to be on our helmets this year. So
I'm gonna need one of those logos,
we have, like I said, we use it program wide. Our kids really like it, and so y'all will see it more on hats, on jerseys, on stuff like that. And so, like I said, we feel like we don't always get the respect of some of the schools that have had a longer tradition and stuff, and we're trying to change that with our culture. And so our kids and our staff and our community have really embraced kind of the angry bird mentality. And so like I said, I go back to that playing with your chip on your shoulder, and so we've fully embraced that. And yeah, you're going to see it on our helmets this year, and hopefully you'll see it out on the field as well.
All right.
I'm gonna need one of those.
You got it.
I think, I better say we all do.
Yeah, we'll hook y'all up for sure.
All right, James, this is me checking with you.
Oh, no, we're good now.
All right, again, this has been head coach of the Grape Creek Eagles, Tanner Thiel. Hey, Coach, thanks so much for coming in. And just like everyone out in the community, we are so excited for this football season. The summer's drug on too long, but yeah, thanks for coming in.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, back to y'all.
It's hard to believe how reckless some people can be and how hard they fight against real victims. You need a partner who consistently beats the giants and who will never, ever flinch.
Well, hello, welcome back to the show. I'm Joe Hyde, the publisher of San Angelo Live, and today I brought the United States Air Force onto our show, and I have Allison and Michael.
Yeah.
Michael,
Yes, sir.
both of you are sergeants, and both of you run the recruiting operation here in the Concho Valley. Is that right?
Yes,
Correct.
sir.
Yep.
All right, so who's in charge? Y'all have the same rank.
Allison's in charge.
Allison's in charge.
There we go.
Before we get into, you have an event coming up. Before we get into that, let's just. I mean, people were interested in how is the military doing with recruiting. You know, you hear these news stories that we can't find enough people, and we're going to have to widen our search criteria for the type of people we get. How is recruiting, I guess, nationwide, and also how is it impacted here? I guess I'll ask you first. You're in charge, so Allison, what's your take on that?
Well, I definitely feel, I don't think that there is a lack of interest in the military anymore. It's just our standards are still pretty high, and we're keeping those standards. So finding those people that are qualified, that 2%, right, is a little difficult sometimes, but we definitely make it, and we have a lot of support down here, especially in the San Angelo area. So we don't do too bad.
So y'all don't have any problem meeting your quotas? Your boss in Arlington's happy?
Yeah, I mean, I think we do pretty well for ourselves. You know?
Michael, what kind of positions are you really looking for? What are the tell me what's most popular, what people are asking for, and what y'all are really looking for?
So, we do have a lot of careers. We have over 130 careers in the Air Force, right? That's a lot. Specifically,
Maybe it's not a career. At Goodfellow, they call them AFSCs.
Yep, Air Force Specialty Codes. Yep.
Yeah, I was in the Air Force, and they asked me one time. I was with some Goodfellow people. Oh, you were in the Air Force? What? Everything at Goodfellow is all about your AFSC.
Yep.
He goes, what was your AFSC? I said 11BT3. And they go, what is that?
Yeah.
It was bomber instructor pilot.
Yep.
But anyway, so what are the career fields?
So primarily what we're looking for right now is we're looking for mechanical, we're looking for intel, we're looking for security forces, we're looking for cyber. So, if you have interest in those kinds of career fields, come talk to us because
What is cyber? Is that like computer science kind of thing? Or are you going to be a hacker?
But it's definitely a lot of cyber, different aspects of it, whether it's you're helping with the technical side or
like an IT tech?
There's those, and there's cyber warfare, computer programming. There's so many different career fields that you can go into with that. So,
and I bet you when you do your little stint, or even do your 20-year stint in cyber, you can get out and get a pretty good consulting job.
Yes, that's what. Yes, especially since when they come in, they get those top security clearances.
Right.
So coming out with that, there's definitely a lot of really good job offers for them. It's one of our very highly marketable jobs.
So cyber is one of them. What's another good one?
So we're looking for a lot of maintainers right now, a lot of maintenance people who want to get their hands on those jets, like repairing the bombers like you used to fly. Yep, that's a big one that we're looking for right now too.
And that's a big career field too, because there is a shortage in civilian and business aviation. I know this of A&P mechanics, people who can work on Learjets and Cessna Citation jets and stuff like that.
Yep.
So there's a huge shortage of that, and those guys are making bank right now.
Oh yeah, they are. The Air Force is going to train you up, and the Air Force is going to give you top-notch training, right? All throughout the whole entire pipeline of your technical training, and those are invaluable skills.
What if someone came to you, Allison, and they said, I don't want to go to college right now, I don't have the money to go to college right now, but I'd like to eventually be an officer. What would you advise them to do?
So as far as coming in as an officer and they haven't started college, haven't had any kind of credits accumulated, immediately they're enrolled in the community college of the Air Force. But regardless of that, when they come in after their 1 year on station, they're able to start their commissioning programs. So there's so many different programs out there for commissioning. I think the biggest one that I've seen has been the LEAD program, where it's those younger airmen coming in, usually about under 23, and not married, don't have any kids, but they enter this program, get accepted, and then they go to the academy, pursue their degree, and then come out an officer.
That's awesome. Yeah. Back when I was in the Air Force, B-52s had gunners, and that was the only enlisted member on the crew. Now they took the gunners off after Desert Storm because they determined that the back gun was a gigantic honeypot for harm missiles. They said they got rid of the gunners. But my gunner back in 1990 or whatever, we were stationed together in Guam, and we were able to get him. He of course he'd already gone through all the aviation schools and everything to be a gunner on a B-52, but he finished his degree. He got his degree while he was working with us in Guam. And then he went off. He eventually went off and became an officer.
Yeah, you used that tuition assistance while he was in?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they pay 85%. Back then it was 85%, I think, or something crazy. It was a lot of money.
It's still a lot of money today, $4,500 per year.
Yeah, specifically for Texas, we actually have the Hazelwood Act as
Yep.
well. So that'll tack on to that.
And the Hazelwood Act, what that is, that's a preset amount of money they pay for your semester hours going to college. And the thing about Hazelwood Act, unless the legislature takes it away because of budget cuts and stuff like that, is you can transfer it to your kids.
Yes.
So I have 2 children I put through Texas A&M on the Hazelwood Act. Now, one of them only got about a quarter of the way through before it ran out, but that's okay. I mean,
Right.
I got one all the way through.
That's still a pretty big incentive.
Yeah. So y'all have an event coming up where you can learn about Air Force careers, I guess, by going to Goodfellow.
Yes, Goodfellow, right here in San Angelo. Yes.
So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, Allison? You're gonna invite people to come on base?
Yes, that's what we're trying to do. Get as much participation as we possibly can. So we're gonna have a bit of a base tour. So people going around the base, going to the fire academy, the security forces, doing little demonstrations. But the biggest thing that I'm excited about is having our career fair. So we have airmen coming from Dias and the airmen at Goodfellow as well, coming together, setting up tables, having little demonstrations and little cool gadgets people can play with.
So if you're interested in a career in the Air Force, this is a good opportunity to talk to people who are actually in the field.
Correct.
And so they can determine whether or not the recruiter is telling them the truth.
Yes, we get a bad rep. You know?
Anyway, and what day is this going to be?
So it's going to be the 28th of August.
28th of August. So that's coming up in about a month. How do you get in? Do you have to go by the recruiting office at the mall?
You can come by or just give us a call.
And so y'all get an invite. You will invite them on an inquiry basis.
Yep.
Is that?
Yep.
I guess that's how you say it. So, Michael, what were you before you became a recruiter?
So before I became a recruiter, I was a 2S071, which is a supply troop, logistics troop. Yeah, the AFSC. Remember, everything's AFSC. Yeah, it was the supply troop, so logistics.
So basically, I had to go to you and beg for a new flight suit.
Essentially, yes.
Yes, I got you.
Oh, we were your best friends. I'm sure you had a lot of connections with supply when you were flying too.
No, I always felt like we were fighting the supply chain.
That can happen too.
You know, in the Air Force, and it's just true anywhere you are, even here at my company, you always got to do more with less. Y'all have heard that, I'm sure.
Yep.
Right.
And so that's what supply was to us. That was the epitome of do more with less.
Yep.
But I mean, I got some really nice equipment out of the supply cabinets.
Did you ever get one of those really nice leather bomber jackets?
Oh yeah.
Fancy.
They gave that to me trying to keep me in the Air Force.
Oh, okay.
It didn't work. Anyway, well, I did stay in, but I stayed in as a reservist.
Yeah.
Just to keep the bomber jacket.
That's good option as well.
Anyway, supply, logistics are important parts of winning wars.
Oh, yeah,
and one of the
essentially.
things that people don't understand about supply and logistics is that wars are won with logistics. When Schwarzkopf was swinging out the 7th Corps out way west in the desert in Iraq, coming in to get the Republican Guard out of Kuwait during Desert Storm, his biggest trouble wasn't, hey, can I muster enough tanks? Can I muster enough Bradley fighting vehicles? It was, can I muster enough fuel trucks to put gas in those things so they can keep rolling, right? So supply and logistics is an important career field. In fact, the generals, if you look through history, the greatest Army generals were logistics, and that was that was their biggest thing. Like General Sherman, for example, marching across Georgia, that was all logistics.
Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah. General Grant taking Vicksburg, he living off the land. He was a logistics guy. In fact, he started out his career as a quartermaster, which is a supply guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Fancy term.
Right. During the Mexican War
in
1847. But anyway, so what is your career field?
So I'm more on the customer service side of things, so I'm services.
Does that mean you work in the military personnel, MPF?
That's personnel. So for me, I work in the dining facilities, the fitness centers, readiness.
So you're more like the commissary. You feed people.
Yes, there's that part of it. I was doing that for a little bit, and then I was an instructor for a while before I became a recruiter. So
where were you instructor?
So the first term Airmen Center. So everyone that comes from basic training, they immediately go through me, and I start training them. And hey, this is how you go about your career.
Where do you train them at?
So on any base. So every base
really?
is going to have one of these centers. Yes.
I see. And so you bring these fresh out of boot camp airmen, and whatever career field they are has involves customer service, they had to go through you.
Anybody. Yeah, any career field across the base.
Oh, really?
Is who I was training, yes. So they get initial training in their basic training, and then the follow-up training when they get their first base, just to help them get on the right path, know their resources, things like that.
I see. So you're kind of like their mama.
Yeah, I guess.
In a sense, I suppose you could say that.
Exciting places y'all been in the Air Force?
I think it was pretty exciting. I was stationed for 4 years before here at RAF Mildenhall, which is in the United Kingdom.
Right.
That was pretty cool. And then before that, I was in Osan, Korea.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Osan's a pretty cool place.
Yeah,
right?
a lot of great opportunities.
Did you ride the bus up to Pamyongjung Village, which is right there on the 38th parallel? Did you ever go up there?
I wanted to. I was in line to do it. I had my tickets, but then COVID happened. So
oh my goodness! So COVID impacted that.
It did.
You know, that was the most. I will never forget that trip, taking a bus from Osan Air Force Base.
Yeah.
There in Seoul, up north, and you go north, and you're on this highway. Goes from 6 lanes down to 2 lanes, and there's a railroad track next to it. And at a certain point, as you're going north, there's a train, old steam engine train sitting there, and it stopped, and the tracks stopped. And the guy said, we're waiting for us to reunite North and South Korea.
Wow.
So we can ride that train north.
Interesting.
And then when you get to Pamyongjung Village, first thing, here's off the record stuff. Okay. They have an APHIS shopette there.
Do they?
Yeah, and you can buy Copenhagen in Pamyongjung Village.
That's really.
I mean, sometimes under Biden's America, we can't even get Copenhagen in town. You know, they'll have when Stripe switched over to 7-Eleven. That's how I detect if we have supply chain problems.
Oh, okay.
If the Copenhagen supply goes away.
The Copenhagen and the coal mine, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. The Copenhagen and the coal mine. But the other thing about Pamyongjung that I remember was the buildings on the other side are very stately looking. Mm-hmm. But if you come to a side angle where you can look, see the back end of the buildings, they're only about 9 to 13 feet deep. So they might look like this gigantic, palace.
Yeah.
But it's only 9 feet deep.
Interesting.
And then where Trump met with Kim Il-sung when he went across the border into North Korea and shook his hand. That's right next to this building. It's like a tea shack, temporary shack. Remember from high school when your school was getting too big and they had to put temporary shacks outside? It's like an old temporary shack. Think 1940s, circa 1950s, tea shack. And there's a bunch of folding chairs and a folding table right there on the line between North and South Korea. But that where he walked, it was right next to that. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going off on Korea, but that was the coolest place.
That's okay. Yeah, it was a good time. I love hearing all the old stories about Korea too, because it was a good time there when I was there.
I got some flying stories about Korea too.
Oh yeah.
We used to have this exercise called Team Spirit.
Okay.
And in Team Spirit, it was a joint exercise. Had the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, everyone.
Yeah.
And what we were simulating was war with North Korea. And this is this is back in the 80s. George H.W. Bush was the president, and he was pretty much no nonsense on military stuff. And they used the B-52s out of Guam. That's where I was stationed at Anderson Air Force Base in Guam. They used the B-52s kind of as a I don't know. They were trying to make him react, make North Korea react.
Trying to instigate.
Yes. So we would start down in like Busan, which is on the southern part of South Korea. We fly from Guam to this point of Busan, and we fly right up the belly of South Korea. And every day we get closer and closer and closer to the DMZ. And when we got there, our orders were we would be in like 3-ship formations. These three big B-52s. We would break turn. And turn so they can definitely see us on radar up in the north. So the closer we got, the more equipment North Korea would bring up, and then our ELANT guys would be like sucking all the data down, going, "Look, they got an SA-2 over here, they got an SA-5 over here." Yeah. So that was the whole purpose of what we were doing. We were trying to draw them out and show what they had. So they were showing their cards before if there's a war. But anyway, that's my Korea experience. It was fun times.
Like a good time.
Right?
That was back in the Cold War too. You got to realize you had Russia that was the Soviet Union that was hostile to us. This is before the Berlin Wall fell down.
Keeping an eye on things. Yeah.
Yeah. So where have you been?
My favorite base was Germany.
Where were you in Germany?
Ramstein.
I have never been to a base in Germany.
Really?
I've never been.
It's usually the hub for everything.
It is. Ramstein's like where you go if you're going to Southwest Asia. You know, that's the hospital too if you get hurt in Southwest Asia. So it's a lot. So you were at Ramstein how many years?
I was there for 2 years. That was my first tour.
Did you learn German?
A little bit. Things that you need. You know, just say, where's the bathroom? Or good morning. Stuff like that.
Which way? Am I going the right way?
I was trying.
Yeah. So did you meet any locals?
Yes, definitely.
Did you learn how to do the polka and all the stuff they do in Germany?
No, I didn't. No. Maybe one day. Not that yet.
You know, the time I got to Germany was after I got out of the Air Force. I was at a conference in Munich. And I remember we went to all the concentration camps and stuff. We looked at a lot of the World War II history from Germany. I mean, just an incredible place. It really is. And beautiful.
It is. It's so pretty over there.
It is very beautiful. So after Germany, where'd you go?
I went to...
I mean, you're still young. Maybe you only went one place.
I went a few places. So I went to F.E. Warren in Cheyenne, Wyoming after that.
And that's a missile base.
Yes, I worked on the missile fields.
So they're sitting out there in these silos with keys. And they have to decode the documents. Anyway, they're probably. I bet every person that's a missileer is one hell of a video game player because that's probably all they do.
Yes,
maybe, yeah.
So what did you do with it? What did you do with F.E. Warren? What was your?
So I worked out in the missile fields. So we had teams that would go out there. We'd have our cops, our missileers, the ones that were down the silo, and then I would be the one cooking for everybody.
Really?
So, yeah, it's kind of like the mom out there too.
All right. So learning the cooking thing. Did you learn? I mean, if you were to get out of the Air Force today, could you start a restaurant and feed lots of people?
I definitely think I have the capability. Yes.
Really? So when you go to a restaurant, can you tell if they're on their A game or not?
Yes,
you can?
For sure. Yes.
Anyway,
standard.
So it was cold up at F.E. Warren.
Yeah, I definitely did get a little bit of cold sometimes.
I mean, freezing.
Not too bad. Yeah,
it's way up there, and it's in the mountains. I mean, I don't know. All right, so after F.E. Warren, what'd you do?
I went over to Langley in Virginia.
Langley.
Yeah.
Now, Langley is where all the generals are.
Yes.
So you had to be on your best behavior. They only
Absolutely.
take the best people who can cook and put them at Langley.
We could still say that. Yeah, I could go with that one.
So what'd you do at Langley? Same thing?
So at Langley, I worked in the fitness centers.
Really?
Yes, and I did
So now
some
you
testing.
can run like TrueFit.
I mean, maybe.
Qualified.
Maybe. I'm qualified, I think. Yes.
So you ran did you get all your fitness certifications and stuff like that?
Yes, we had a lot of different ones we could do. Different instructor certifications, CPR, things like that. So
it's important that stuff happens because when you're remote, like I remember in Guam, if we didn't have the gym at Anderson Air Force Base, I mean, we'd all be fat slobs because all we did was drink beer. You know? Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that in front of recruiters.
That's okay.
But the officers' clubs were wild back then. Trust me.
I believe you.
Anyway, so to get in on this tour of Goodfellow to find out if there is a career field for you in the United States Air Force today, what do you do? Who do you have?
Reach out to me or Sergeant Reed.
Go by the mall?
Yes, sir.
Or stop by the mall and stop by our office and we'll get you
Or
set
Google
up.
Air Force Recruiter San Angelo.
Yep, that
You'll
is
find
right
your
on
number.
there.
Okay, and ask for Allison, and she'll help you out. She might even have some food for you.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Never know.
And
There's
the
a
day-
pizza place across
There
the
It's
way.
the end of August. Will you give me the date again for the big tour?
August 28th.
August 28th, tour, job fair, Air Force. Learn about how you can. You know, the other thing is people always talk. Here's the thing that really gets on me. You always hear once you become an old retired guy like me. You always hear them say, you know, we got to take care of our veterans. They're all homeless and they have mental illness and they have PTSD and that stuff. I'm going to tell you something. The training that you got and that I got is second to none. There is no better training for accepting things under fire, to be able to take something out of nothing and make it into something.
Yep.
I mean, we are the most employable, the most desirable type of people that we need in our country today. And I think people need to understand that even if you spend 4 years or you spend a full 20, or if you, like some of these people, they just can't leave. They stay for 30 years. But, but you know, if you go for 20, you get a pretty good retirement. Okay.
Yes.
If you go for just 4, you get pretty good on-the-job training and proof that you can not only go through basic training and be humiliated for however many months that is, but also that you can perform duties and you can think outside the box and you can make things happen.
Definitely.
Am I a good recruiter for the Air Force?
I think so, right?
It sounds good. I got to get that pitch down.
All right. If your kid wants to join the Air Force, these are your guys here in San Angelo, Texas. And with that, I'm going to go back to the studio.
When it comes to unique pieces you can't find anywhere else, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is your one-stop shop. With over 24 years in the diamond and coin industry, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is West Texas's choice for diamonds, jewelry, coins, silver, and gold. Owner Bill Kano stands by his work and offers free consultations, including estate jewelry. Don't just trust anyone with your valuables. Come see the staff at Kano's at 1016 West Beauregard in San Angelo.
Thanks for watching the Live Daily News Show, the only locally owned live news show in the Concho Valley. Go like us on Facebook, X, and other social media platforms, and download the San Angelo Live mobile app today to stay up to date with news from in and around the Concho Valley. Thanks again, and we'll see you back here next week.